Okay, so I haven't been doing very well at giving you guys videos, but I got my old Clarke forklift in here, old Frankenstein, and I had to pull the mast off to get it in the garage. But I was going to wait to work on it until I had my shop built this next summer, but I need it to put the shop up, so it'll probably save me $1,500 in equipment rental, so I'm gonna get it going. Anyway, I tried to get some video of them taking the mast off and the battery was dead, and I had a short window of nice weather to do it, so I had to just go ahead and do it. So the brake cylinder was junk. It was full of rust. I pulled it out, welded this bracket in, and put this Chevy master cylinder in there, and then just basically tied the two together. Ran some new pipe to here, and then bled the brakes out, and they've got plenty of resistance, so hopefully there's some brake shoe left. If there is, then I'll be good to go. If not, then, well, I gotta try to figure out what axle this came off of. I'm pretty sure it was off of a Chevy 2-ton truck, 2.5-ton truck. So that's what the engine and transmission are from, for sure. So, not sure what displacement that engine is. I had to, the power steering pump was leaking fluid. When I put some fluid in it, it was leaking everywhere. So I took it off and started looking at it, and I don't know if you guys can see the pinholes there, and there's a bunch of holes there. I was just going to patch the leaks until I took a pick and started poking at it. That's just about completely rotten. So I pulled it off, grabbed another venerable Chevy power steering pump, had to rebuild the bracket, had to build a whole new bracket over there. I didn't get any video of that either, so I apologize. This is the valve stack, the hydraulic valve stack, and it was completely seized up, and this one, the spring was broken in it, and retainers, I think the retainer was okay, but the spring was no good, and as pitted and rough as this valve is, I would not at all be shocked if it leaked a whole bunch. I had to spray a bunch full of penetrating oil just to get the valves, the spools to start moving. So I'm currently stripping it down, and that red loader that was on my Farmall H is now out in the hidey hole, and here's the valve stack off of it. I had to rob it, and then I'm going to get it all plumbed up. That's not the ideal place for it, but that's just where it's going to have to be for now. Eventually I'll probably move it over to here so I can run it with my left hand, but I don't have enough hose, and I don't have the budget to buy a bunch of hydraulic hose right now, so I got to try to piece together with what I have. Because the original valve, there was a lever or a shaft sticking out here and two levers, and there was linkage running all the way down here, and these pipes all the way back. There were two pipes running all the way across, and they came in right here, and then the valve was mounted right here, tipped on its edge, and so that was a crap load of linkage that I didn't like. So now I got to rig up a bunch of hydraulic hose and route it out of the way so I can get it out to that valve stack. I gotta clean up the carburetor. I don't want to buy a rebuild kit for it, so I'll probably just clean it, because it doesn't have to run great, it just has to run. And so once I get the hydraulics sorted out, that'll be my next job, is the carburetor. And that cooling fan doesn't spin. I'll try pulling it off and see if I can get it to spin. If not, I'll have to go and I'll probably just get one on eBay, because the scrapyard prices are about the same as a new one. So if you buy smart enough anyway. This is the oil filter, and it's a partial filter system. It just takes some of the oil and filters it and then dumps it back into the crankcase. And this hose was leaking, so I had to come up with something new there, and that should work. Keep it filtering the oil. It's not going to work very super hard, so I don't know how often I'll even need to change it, but I suspect it probably burns oil. The exhaust pipe was completely rotten, so I still got to come up with something for that right now. It's just going to be dumping out there and be loud as hell, but there's the pipe. What's left of it? The muffler's rusted on the edge there, so I don't know. Maybe to, this being a Frankenstein machine here, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, but I do need it to work, so I'm hoping I can save that muffler and just come up with some pipe. Buy some pipe off of eBay or something. Couldn't find anything that really was going to work right in the scrapyard. So anyway, that's where we are so far. I've got to probably add a spring to this because it likes to try to, it'll over center a little bit and then it doesn't seem to want to come back up very easily. So I'm going to grease the linkage up and see if that helps. Took the fuel tank out. That was a custom built fuel tank, and power washed it out inside, and it's got a couple of pinholes in it, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've got a couple of steel jerry cans. I might see if I can just set one on there and put a bulkhead fitting on it and just run 5-gallon can on it for now, or I don't know yet. Haven't made it that far. But it's coming along. It's been in here for 2 weeks now. I've just been working on it a little bit after work and on the weekends, so I don't know, I've probably got 15 hours into it now, but I had to take that the shift tower off, and it was all rusted up, so I had to get it all cleaned up, and then I put it back on there, and I still only had reverse and third, and I had to take it back off of there once I got it in here. I had it sitting outside when I took that off the first time and got it working this last fall, and then so I managed to weasel it back in here with just third and reverse, and then I pulled it off, and one of the slide collars was stuck on there. It was rusted on there. The thing's been half full of water for Lord knows how long, and it's pretty loud. The bearings make quite a bit of racket, but it's not going to be a high-speed machine, so as long as it still works, then I'm not going to worry about it. I had to pull the PTO cover off of there and weld it up because it had a pinhole rust in it. Got the transmission all cleaned out, and then put a and then put some fresh oil in it, and then I had to drain it out again when I was cleaning out working out the rust out of that slide collar, and then I filled her back up, and now we've got all the gears, so it's kind of hard to shift from this position. I might not be able to do it. Well, you get the idea. But anyway, it does work. I'll get you guys a video of driving it around once I get this scary old machine back to running, but I've still got a ways to go, so I don't know if that power steering pump is actually going to be tight enough. I think the belt might squeal, because I messed up on my calculation a little bit there, so I'm maxed out on the slide adjustment there. I think if I just drill a new bolt or new hole and move this pump, all of the pump this direction some, and maybe up just a little bit, so I'm thinking maybe punch a hole right about there and move it up and out a little bit, and then we'll have enough adjustment to get it tight. But we're going to see how it is for now, because I need to keep moving on. It doesn't have any coolant in it, and I think that this hose might be no good, but we're going to I guess we're going to see. I'm going to just throw some air to the radiator and see where all the leaks are and how much more stuff I gotta fix. But It does run. It did run coming in here. Not well, but it did run. But I just need to be able to... See, I couldn't get it to start without sticking my glove over the intake and choking it down really well, so really tight. Get it rich enough to start, and then it would run. Not a lot of power, so... I didn't see a lot of smoke, but I also wasn't watching very close, so I don't know. I'll probably still pull that carburetor and clean it up. Clean out the jets and everything, and try to get it halfway adjusted and figure out... It's got a thermostatic choke. And it comes off of there's a little riser pipe right there. It comes off of, the manifold. Well, I'll just come over here and show you. And this is a little older than anything I've really messed with. Because anything this old has always been tractors, so they don't have this kind of crap on it. But, so this will be a bit of a learning experience. But like I said, this came off of a probably 2.5 ton truck, Chevy truck, probably late 50s, early 60s. This, so there's a heat shield coming off of the exhaust manifold there, and it just pipes hot air. Basically, all it does is thermosiphon hot air into here, and then as the engine warms up, there's a, I assume it's a bimetal spring in there that expands, and then it opens up the choke. Right now, this is closed. I haven't really had it running long enough to see that it'll open up like it's supposed to. So I don't know. It's not really choking it down enough to get it to start right now, so I had to stick my glove over it. But I'll clean it out and see if it'll start without help once I get everything else done. Right now it's the hydraulics. More to come. Alright, so I've got my forklift back in here, and I think that I'm going to have to move this throttle, so I went ahead and pulled it out of there. And cut it loose, and I'm going to move it down below, and I'll show you guys that here in a minute. Okay, so I got the throttle relocated. I just welded it down on the underside of this bracket here. And it's ended up a little close to the brake pedal, but I think it's going to be okay. I mean, the brake pedal's not that easy to press. So. And I also, in keeping with the whole Frankenstein theme that this whole machine really is, I just took a piece of an old cultivator spring there and welded it on there. It's just tacked on. I probably won't even do more than that in case I ever have to take it off. I can just hit it with the grinder real quick. But then it doesn't over center anymore, and it looks like it's moving pretty much full throttle. So I'm probably flooding the crap out of the engine, but I did turn the fuel off, but it's probably already flooded. Okay, so that's done. I need to try to put a grease zerk in here on this steering. Try to maybe loosen that up a little bit. Make it squeak a little less. It kind of sucks to steer, which I kind of expected, but I'm going to try getting a spinner knob for the steering wheel here. Just want a Tractor Supply spinner knob, and hopefully that'll give me enough to keep it under control. I need to add a spring to the clutch because it kind of over centers and then doesn't want to come back. It needs just a little bit more help. So I'll find a small spring. I'm thinking the more I tool around with this thing in the yard, I'm thinking that I actually might end up changing this powertrain out at some point. Drop either a V6 or a V8 Chevy and an automatic in there, because an automatic just works so much better in a forklift. You can just shuttle between first and reverse without clutching, and I did test the brakes and they definitely work. They'll lock the tires right up, so I might have some oil on the brake shoes, but as long as it stops, I really don't care right now. I'll get torn into it eventually, as long as it still works and I can use it to build my shop. I'm gonna put the fuel tank in, See if I can get it running on the regular tank. And then I don't think I ordered my tailpipe expander yet. I'll have to check. If I did, then I'll when it shows up, I'll cut that exhaust and point it out here. I don't have a muffler for it, so it's just going to have to be loud for now. I don't have it in the budget to buy one, so it's just going to have to wait. I'll just have to wear earplugs. Power steering pump seems to work okay right there. It's at the end of its adjustment, so I'm going to have to eventually move this bolt up to here probably to give it a little more stretch. It'll be basically up and over a little bit and drill a new hole, and that'll give me a little more adjustment so I can pull it tighter. But for now, I mean, it's not really loose, but it doesn't, or not really tight rather, but it doesn't slip. So as long as I can still steer it, then more or less anyway. I'm not going to be going very fast with it, so the steering is very, very sloppy. So if I get around to putting a new engine in it, I'm probably going to take all that steering leakage out, put a cylinder, figure out where I can weld a cylinder under here. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything, it's pretty dark, but here's all the linkage there, and probably just weld in a hydraulic cylinder and run it off the main pump with a flow divider. I'll just probably just get an adjustable one and maybe put it at like 30% and try that, see how it steers, because it puts out quite a bit of oil, but not a lot of pressure, so I can probably use 30% of the flow, and all the other functions will still work just fine. Then I can eventually get rid of that power steering pump, and with the powertrain change I can get rid of the clutch pedal and stupid shifter and all of that crap, and maybe relocate this. And I'll probably just put it, since it'll be low speed, I'll probably just put like a hydraulic valve right here or something for steering, and then run an indicator up so I can tell with a pointer, so I can tell where my wheels are pointed, and that'll be it. I'll just run it off of a hydraulic valve, steer left and right. Like I said, it's not going to be going on the road, so it's not like I really need it to steer easily more than I need it to steer slowly. So I'm not going to put myself in the ditch with it, because we're not going to be going fast enough. So hydraulic valve will work just fine, but I don't have a valve for it right now, and I don't have a cylinder, and I'm probably going to have to just buy a cylinder, because it's going to have to be a specific length. And then a flow divider, I can buy one of those, they're not that expensive. But anyway, that's where we are. The throttle is relocated. Remember, it was sitting up here. That pipe was sitting right here, and it was running across, and so it was sticking clear up like this. And so basically I was pushing it with my heel, and I couldn't control it enough. Every time I hit a bump, my foot was bouncing, and the thing was revving like crazy and trying to buck me off. So I had to relocate that, and this should work, at least for now, till I end up tearing all of this crap out and starting over basically on the floorboard. But right now, I'm going to need it this spring. It's now January, or well, I guess it's almost January. Right after Christmas now, so I guess I'll get that fuel tank in, and we'll see if we can get her to pump some fuel, and maybe we'll get her running on the regular tank, and I can take my good old nurse tank back off of there. More to come. Alright, so the throttle's all done. Fuel tank is in and plumbed in. All I need now is a fuel filter. I got it pumping fuel, and there's fuel all over the place now, because I just had it spraying all over. It was running on the nurse tank, so just needed to make sure that fuel pump would work. So it does. So now I just need to get a 1/4 inch fuel fuel filter and plumb it in right there, and then probably kick this thing out the door again. Basically done with it for now. See how the weather is tomorrow. I might try putting the mask back on it, but I gotta run into town tomorrow morning and get a fuel filter, and maybe I'll try to find run to the scrapyard and try to find a A-pillar pod or A-pillar cover for the white truck, and new light knob and a few other things. I'll get a video of that. That's all for now. I'll get more when I get it running on its own tank. Okay, so I got my new air cleaner put on. I've got a one-wire alternator and a cooling fan coming for this, but they won't be here till next week, so I need to get moving on to the next thing, which is going to be my trailer ramps, so I can go get some couple of tractors from my uncle's place, so I guess he's going to sell the place. So anyway, I figured I'd try videoing a cold start here. I have no idea how well it's going to start. I haven't started it with that air cleaner on it yet. And it's, see, it's 45 degrees in here. And battery's been on a charger, so it should be pretty well charged up, but we'll find out. I don't know. It's also going to be really loud because I still don't have any exhaust on it, and I probably won't for quite a while. So I don't know, the camera may distort and you won't be able to hear anything once it starts, but hopefully it won't, but we'll see. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is that the carburetor is really, I cleaned the carburetor, but it's all, the throttle shaft is pretty worn out. The seals leak. It leaks really bad. When I start pumping, I can probably see some gas running out. Let's see what we get.